What is up, everybody? I hope you're all doing well. Today we are checking out the Walrus Audio Fundamental Series pedals. Now I've got 3 of the 8 total in the series. I've got the fundamental delay and the fundamental drive and the fundamental fuzz, but I believe there's also there's a reverb, there's a chorus, there's a phaser, there's a tremolo, and a distortion. So that's the 8 in the total series, and the idea was to give you the same exact build quality that Walrus Audio is known for, and of course sonically they sound great, but at a price tag that starts at $99. So I used the delay, the drive, and the fuzz exclusively in that performance that you heard at the top, and the pedals worked great. So let's get right into it. On the delay, the fundamental delay, you've got these sliders, which are really cool. The top slider is your time control. The middle slider is your feedback, obviously the number of repeats. And then the bottom slider is your mix, which is obvious. We'll get into all this in the demo. There's a switch below that that allows you to choose between a digital voice, an analog voice, or a reverse voice. We'll check that out in the demo. Now you can see there's notes below that. There's quarter note, dotted eighth, and eighth. Because this pedal is capable of tap tempo, when you're in tap tempo mode, you can choose if you want quarter, dotted eighth, or eighth note. We'll get into that in the demo and how it works. So that's the delay. Next up is the fundamental drive. So that's what I did for all those solo and crunch tones. On this one, you've got same sliders. On the top, you've got a gain. We know what that does. Check it out in the demo. Right below that's a tone control. And then right below that is your volume control. And then there's a switch in the center that allows you to choose between 3 different voices, a smooth, crunch, and bright voice. So we'll get into how all that sounds in the demo as well. And then last but not least is the fundamental fuzz. Now this one, because I wrote this really pretty ballad, and I was like, oh no, where do I put the fuzz thing? But it ended up working out great because I just did these massive kind of swelled in fuzz things with the reverse delay, and you guys can hear that if you go back and listen to the performance. You'll totally hear it. So on the fuzz, you have the same type of controls: gain control, tone control, volume control, and then you can choose between 3 settings or voices. To the left is a gated setting, which sounds really spitty. In the center is your classic fuzz, and then to the right is basically a mid plus or maybe a pushed mid. So those are different voices. All three of these switches really did a lot. It wasn't like it was just a subtle change when you threw the switch. So it made it really easy to dial things in. If you threw a switch one way or the other, then you could adjust the tone accordingly to kind of sculpt in your sounds, and it worked really well. So that's the fuzz pedal. Top mounted jacks, which is always cool. You do have your DC on the side. But yeah, without, oh, and also soft switches, which are great. And the LEDs look really, I mean, the build quality on this is really cool. The LED and, yeah, these countersunk, are they Allen screws? Whatever they are, it's, yeah, nicely done, Walrus. Okay, I'm still talking. So without further ado, let's check out the Walrus Audio Fundamental Series. Okay, let's get started. Here's just the guitar into the amp for reference. And you know what? Let's start with the delay. Okay, cool. So I just kind of bounced between digital, analog, and reverse. I tended to gravitate towards the digital, at least for that performance, just because it was a little bit brighter, kind of more glassy delay. Sat better in the mix, but that being said, the analog sounded really great. It's nice and warm. Dig that. And then of course the reverse delay that I used was actually for all the volume, like the crazy. I used the fuzz, but the you'll hear it in the mix. I think it's on the right side. All the big swelled in fuzz tones were with the fuzz and the delay in reverse. Of course, the infinite feedback thing works great. You can tap in your tempo for delay. So in this case, obviously you can adjust it via the time, and obviously you know what the feedback does, know what the mix does. As I mentioned, you can adjust via the time control, but if you want to tap in your delay, you just hold down the switch, and now you're in tap mode. So if I want that to be a faster delay, I can just tap that in and I'm good to go. And you can choose between when you're in that mode, quarter note, dotted eighth, or eighth note. So that's really cool. So that's the delay. Let me turn that off for a second, and we'll let me just put it to like a static. About there for now. Let's check out the drive. Okay, so same thing, I just moved the smooth, crunch, and bright switch, those different voicings. They all sounded great. I kind of wanted to live in that crunch setting, but I only used it once in that mix because there was so much information, so I used it for the left side of the mix. There's like a big overdriven guitar that's just kind of padding chords, so if you maybe want to put on headphones or something to check that out, that's what I used it for. For the rest of the time, I pretty much stayed in this bright setting, and then kind of tamed the tone to get things to fit, like with the Les Paul and that and the Shure. But let's just let me tweak some stuff. So that's with the gain all the way up. Gain all the way down. Tone all the way off. Get pretty dark. Tone about halfway. Tone all the way up. Then of course volume, we can make it so it's above unity. Maybe push the amp a little bit harder. So really dialable just in the crunch mode, but then you've got the bright side. So when I use like the bright mode, I actually backed the tone down and then just turned up the gain. Gave it a little bit more volume, and that's how I was getting the... because it had more of a mid presence and a little bit less low end, so I was able to kind of sculpt things in. And I did the same thing with the Les Paul. So I just turned on the delay and kind of tweaked it in really quick because obviously I used that delay for those solo tones. So that is the drive pedal. Now let's check out the fuzz pedal. So same thing, the switch, the gate, classic, and mid switch, they're all very different voicings. Obviously the gate switch is really spitty and choppy and super funky sounding. I used it in the classic mode for all those kind of volume swell things I was doing, and I thought it sounded great. This pedal kind of, to me, at least in my humble opinion, leans more towards like maybe a big muff a bit, but with some other tweaks, because obviously with the voicing in there, there's scads of gain, even all the way off in the classic setting. Still pretty like fuzzy, pretty crunchy. So I just turned the delay back on, but yeah, without really changing anything, I'm getting a ton of different tones just by switching that classic gate or mid boost or mid plus switch. I'll go ahead and sweep the tone really quick. So here's the tone all the way up. Tone all the way down. Once again, gain all the way off. Gain all the way up, and then of course the volume, you know, if you turn the gain down, you can kind of open things up. If you want to push the amp harder, similarly to the drive. But yeah, that's the Fuzz, and it sounded really cool. Like I said, when I wrote this, I was like, oh gosh, I just wrote a ballad. Where do I put like a fuzz pedal? But it ended up working out great, especially with that reverse thing that I was talking about. So for the solo sounds, I had a pretty standard delay. But for the, let me see if I can dial it in. But for the, that heavy kind of fuzz thing, and yeah, when I did that pass, I just did it really random, and it was fun. It was cool. Okay, so that is the Walrus Audio Fundamental Series. This isn't all of them, but it's 3 of them. So it's the Fuzz, the Drive, and the Delay. I thought they all sounded great. I enjoyed writing that song with them. I had like zero struggle getting tones and dialing them in. If you've got any further questions about it, obviously, and always, go to the website, check things out. They built this stuff, so they're going to know about the stuff way more than I ever would. So once again, thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next time.